Dr. Rajiv Shah, selected by the senior class officers to deliver this year's commencement address, is Administrator of the United States Agency for International Development. Dr. Shah's career presents an outstanding example of the value of a liberal arts education as preparation for life and work. He majored in economics at the University of Michigan and went on to earn both a medical degree from the University of Pennsylvania and a Master of Science in Health Economics from the Wharton School. He took his skills and interests to the World Health Organization, to the Gore 2000 presidential campaign, and to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where he spent 7 years working on global health issues before joining the U.S. government in 2009 as Undersecretary for Research, Education, and Economics in the Department of Agriculture. Just 6 months later, President Obama named Dr. Shah USAID Administrator. He led the United States humanitarian response to the Haiti earthquake in January 2010. He is a passionate and committed proponent of the international cooperation to improve lives around the world, and he is now leading an ambitious program called USAID Forward, meant to reshape and reform the way in which the agency does business. Please join me in welcoming the commencement speaker for 2011, Dr. Rajiv Shah.
Thank you, and good morning. Are you excited? I'm certainly very excited. When I first heard that your class had asked me to come and participate in today's commencement, I didn't believe it. I literally didn't believe it. I thought they were joking. And then when they explained to me how this process worked and said, no, they really did invite you, I was very excited and really honored. And I thought I might just describe why I was so enthusiastic to come here and to speak with you. First, there's the honor of having the chance to be with and address any graduate on their memorable day of commencement. I still remember my own college graduation in a setting somewhat less personal and comfortable than this one. And it was a very special moment. It wasn't that long ago, about 16 years, but things were very different then. Yahoo was the name of a local clothing company a college friend of mine had started. Wikipedia wasn't around, so we all actually had to write our own college essays. Tweeting was something birds mostly did. And I didn't have access to actual health insurance. So things have actually changed in the recent years. But I remember at that time really looking forward to my summer. I was set to visit a poor tribal community in rural South India to work on a health and development project with local physicians, really bringing service and adventure together and giving me a unique opportunity to see the world. As I went on that trip and from village to village, I met children and dispensed medications, and I had the chance to encounter people who had a life story that was very different than my own. I always knew there were kids around the world who didn't get enough food to eat or didn't get a chance to go to school. But that summer, sitting with them in their homes and playing with them in their villages, it changed my idea of what I wanted to do with my life. Of course, I didn't know how to make that change. So I came back and, as I had planned, went on to medical school. And I got on with my life, but always had this nagging restlessness and far less certainty about what it was I actually wanted to do. When I finished medical school, I made another brief detour, this time to work on Al Gore's presidential campaign. And when, while some of us thought we won, we actually didn't, I had to find something else to do, but realized that I came away with a set of lasting and deep friendships that gave me the confidence that it would be possible to pursue a career in public and social service. And through friends, it led me to take an internship at a new foundation being formed by Bill and Melinda Gates. I didn't know anything about what they were trying to do, but I figured Bill Gates had a pretty good record when it came to startups, and I ought to join. What was intended to be a short internship before my medical residency turned into an 8-year journey that taught me how rigorous, business-like approaches could be applied to address many of the most pressing challenges of poverty and suffering that we see in the world and that I've witnessed in those villages in South India. If we could invent new vaccines, we could eradicate diseases like polio and hopefully someday malaria and AIDS. If we could create new ways to finance global health or global education, we could allow nations around the world to invest in their children, giving tens of millions of kids new opportunities they hadn't previously had. And if we could prove to all people that extreme poverty and hunger are solvable problems, we could inspire action that would change the world for the better. I've now seen these actions at work at USAID. With President Obama's and Secretary Clinton's strong leadership, we've launched the most important effort to address hunger in a generation. In just 5 years, our Feed the Future effort will help 18 million people move out of poverty, more than 7 million of whom are young children who currently go to bed hungry every night. Sitting in my cap and gown that day at the University of Michigan in our stadium that holds 112,000 people, I didn't know that these experiences would add up to this type of career. But it's really that sense of service and adventure that makes today so special and why I'm so excited to be here. And that brings me to the second reason I consider this speech such an honor: the chance to address the graduates of Colby College in particular. Here in Waterville, there's a store that sells cloth bags that are handmade in Cambodia. If you put it that simply, it sounds unremarkable, just another indication of a globalized world. Dig a little deeper and you'll learn that these bags were made by women in Cambodia living with HIV/AIDS, and that the reason these women in Battambang can sell their goods here in Waterville is because one of your fellow classmates who began an exchange project with that village made that happen. That international focus is a deep part of your legacy here at Colby. Colby's first graduates moved back in 1822, left Waterville to live and work in a remote village in Burma. 2 years later, Colby educated its first international student, and today, more than 10% of the class consist of international students. And Colby was the first campus to divest from South Africa's apartheid regime, starting a movement that would awaken the world's conscience. Today, Colby graduates, you, are proficient in foreign languages, have studied abroad in more than 70 countries, and joined the Peace Corps at a higher rate than in any other college in our country. Last month, I traveled to South Sudan, a region beset by violence and deep poverty. And until recently, a girl in South Sudan was more likely to die in childbirth than complete secondary school. For years, our mission there has been working to educate women and girls in the region, improve agricultural production, and help reverse the highest rate of maternal mortality in the world. And these efforts are working. Last year, we partnered with the United Nations to build facilities for a national referendum, train poll workers and register voters, and we helped facilitate a historic referendum that proceeded peacefully and on schedule, paving the way for the birth of Africa's newest nation. And we've created partnerships that have brought down the percentage of women who die in childbirth, so more mothers can live to see and care for their children. A key leader in these efforts is our mission director, Susan Fine, in Juba. Not only is Susan a capable leader who's changing the world, she's also a Colby grad. I've come to learn that's a frequent combination. From Ethiopia to Bangkok, Uganda to Nepal, Colby grads are at the forefront of helping serve those in greatest need. And those are just the ones working at USAID and the State Department. Whether you choose to join development or any other field, Your broad and inclusive view of the world will give you unique insights that allow you to shape a much more interconnected planet. And that's the final reason why it's so exciting to be here. You're not just Colby graduates, you're the class of 2011. Right now in Washington, there's an ongoing debate about whether America can still afford to behave like a superpower. Some believe we should slash our development and diplomacy budgets and close our borders to new generations of immigrants, immigrants like my father who came here in the late 1960s from India. That we should reduce our efforts to prevent radical extremism, eliminate global pandemics, and expand economic opportunities around the world because times are tough here at home. It's a serious debate with serious consequences, and it occurs at a time when other countries are expanding their global presence at an unprecedented rate. We do need to grapple with and manage our finances and be responsible about our budgets. But I suspect this is also a debate many of you consider irrelevant. Your class, modern, worldly, and with a deeper understanding of global issues than any generation has ever had, knows that America has to step up our engagement with the rest of the world. With your actions, you've shown us that Americans realize that a world where hunger is beaten, diseases are eradicated, markets are free and equal, is a world that makes us safer, enhances our prosperity, and expresses our core values. You give us great hope that we will win this exciting but increasingly competitive future. And your efforts show us that Americans will continue to lead, as we have done for decades around the world. We are a country that does big things. We build, we innovate, we solve what people think of as impossible problems. We're the country that helped rid the world of smallpox, helped eliminate hunger and poverty for hundreds of millions of people who most people thought would starve to death during the Green Revolution. And we launched the largest humanitarian rescue mission ever mounted in Haiti, feeding more than 4 million people and providing water and other services to 1.5 million others at a time of critical need. By bringing together a variety of skills, whether you're pre-med or a history major, an engineer or an economist, you can play your part in the next great opportunity to improve human welfare. For some of you, that may mean joining an NGO and making your impact directly. For others, it may mean joining a corporation. Today, any career or skill can be put to service of those in need. America's economy is projected to grow at about 2.5% this year. But Africa's economy is experiencing yet another year of fast-paced growth, over 6.5%. That story is throughout the developing world. There's no longer any sector of our economy, public, private, or social, that can ignore the opportunities, the realities, and the competition that exists in the developing world. Some of you may even start your own NGOs or companies. At USAID, as part of our USAID Forward reforms, we've started a venture fund to support projects that just do that. Smartphone applications that can be used to monitor election fraud or identify counterfeit drugs. Solar lamps that can help children study at night in villages that power lines can't reach. Or cheap medical devices that can help resuscitate newborn babies who are born in villages where there are no hospitals and there are no doctors. These aren't projects that exist in people's imaginations. These are technologies, ideas, and businesses that are being designed by American companies in garages and laboratories around our nation, and in each of these examples, on college dormitories, on college campuses around the country. And these ideas will be crucial to solving the next big development challenges: preventing child death from malaria, bringing light to millions who don't have access to electricity, ending hunger in our lifetimes, or transitioning a long autocratic region in the Middle East to democracy. We're conditioned to believe that achieving these massive goals is impossible. that it's too much for any one person to try to take on. But only by setting such massive goals can we inspire the innovation required to achieve them. And only by having the audacity and naivete to believe that you can make a huge difference can we put our efforts and energies to work for this purpose. So congratulations to the Colby class of 2011 for what you've already accomplished and for the example you've already set and for the things that you have in front of you. If you're like me and I was on my commencement day, I suspect you don't know exactly what your next set of experiences will lead to. But if you approach it with the same playfulness, commitment, and confidence that you've already shown, I know you'll succeed. Thank you very much.